You're listening to The Pete Sheppard Show.
Right into that conversation, Jaron Duran, because the baseball is larger in Major League Baseball than it is in Japan. Another line drive. That one down the right field line. All the way to the wall. Narvaez churning around third. He's being waved in. He's going to score. Into third base, standing up with another triple. Jaron Duran to go with his double in the first inning. And the Sox are on top 3-0. He is cooking. And with 2 down, he picks up another RBI.
Good morning, everybody. Red Sox get back on track, among other things. How's everybody doing on this terrific Tuesday here? At least in Southwest Florida, anyway. It's not 90 yet, but it will be. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Pete Sheppard Show here on the Coastal Sports Network. And we talk about everything: life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, sports, food, entertainment. We got it all today coming up. Thanks for checking me out across the Coastal Sports Network video platform, following me on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, at PShep326, at YouTube, Rumble, CSN Florida, Facebook pages, YouTube, they say that already, LinkedIn. Call or text the show at 727-858-6650. And don't forget to download the awesome app. You see it right above you, SR 1029 The Game. Can't stress enough. If you're in your car or you can't watch the show, listen on the app. It'll be much clearer. Not that it won't be clear if you're listening on your phone or other devices if you can't see the show. But occasionally, because it's video and everything, it's going to cut in and out and everything. You want the app. You want to download the app. We got lots going on. Panthers at the Hurricanes tonight already. Just like that, we have game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. You won't hear about it at all on any of the national shows like ESPN because they don't think it exists, even though they're going to carry still some NHL games. But nevertheless, we're going to break down Panthers at the Hurricanes. Got some sound. We're still going to make more fun of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Some interesting stuff coming out of Toronto. It's absolutely hysterical. Matthew Tkachuk actually video bombed a podcast yesterday, which is very, very funny. We'll have some highlights of that. We've got lots of NFL, and we've also got NBA Western Conference Finals tonight, which I think is going to be a great series. By the way, Florida and Carolina, game 1 tonight, 8 o'clock on TNT. I think it's going 7. I'm not going to make a prediction. I think it's going 7. Although we're going to flash back to Rob Brindamore, the coach of the Hurricanes, back a little while ago. Last time these two teams met, the Panthers swept them 4-0, except Rob Brindamore didn't think they swept them 4-0. But you'll understand what I'm saying, as confusing as that sounds when you see the video. Minnesota OKC tonight in game 1 of the Western Conference Finals in the NBA. That's at 8:30 tonight. That is on ESPN. So we got that. Indiana and the Knicks go at on Wednesday in game 1. We got some preview sound, maybe if we get to that. National Football League, Nick Sirianni gets that unbelievable extension. We'll see what Angel Martinez thinks of that. Also, the San Francisco 49ers continue to spend. Fred Warner there gets a huge 3-year deal, 3-year, $63 million contract extension. This is after they just signed Brock Purdy to a big deal. So the 49ers being very, very serious. Chris Russo has some interesting things to say about Michael Strahan's interview with Bill Belichick on CBS. We'll hear from that. Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese, black and white. I always think of Seinfeld. Look to the cookie. Look to the cookie. A balance of racial harmony. Angel Reese pushes somebody in the back on the Indiana Fever. She goes up for a layup after that, and Caitlin Clark follows her hard, and now it's become, a racial issue all over again. I'm so sick of it. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's called basketball. Professional basketball happens all the time. But we've got people making, there's hate, people making it about race, and just a bunch of idiots out there. It's just whatever. It sucks that it has to be such a racial thing. I mean, my God. This happens all the time in the NBA, and it happens all the time in the WNBA. I saw a bunch of highlights this morning. It's just ridiculous. I don't know how much we're going to get into. Ryan Clark, interesting comments about RG3 because he's married to a white girl. Can't comment about Angel Reese being the bad person in some of these incidents. As he pointed out 5 of them recently on his podcast. And Ryan Clark took exception to that and brought more race into the issue about RG3, which is it's preposterous to me. Like, I don't even think about that crap. Thank God I don't. I just, and we're probably not going to get into a lot of it today because there's too much other important stuff going on. I can't, I'm not going to ignore that there are still racists in this country and all that. It's always going to be that way. But when you bring it into sports, and when Ryan Clark, who's gotten away with a lot of shit the last couple of years, believe me, has said stuff like this about RG3, maybe we'll play it. And RG3 responded big time, which we'll play some of that as well. Anyway, the Red Sox win last night 3-1. Phillies come from behind and win big in Colorado. We'll get to those highlights as well. But for the Red Sox beating Kodai Senga last night, this guy was basically unhittable, untouchable. Last night was the first time he allowed more than 2 earned runs in the last 17 starts, which is amazing. But Red Sox won 3-1. That was a good game last night over the Mets. Jay Flannelly, speaking of the Mets, and the Mets haven't scored a lot lately at all. But, it's baseball. It's one of those things. They're still 10 games over 500. My boys are 1 game under 500, but they pick up a half a game on the Yankees, so they're 4.5 games out. That series will continue today as well. So lots going on around all of sports. We'll get to it. Jay Flynn from Beeves World in Ann Arbor. He's up he'll be first up on the show at 8 o'clock. And then NHL insider Mick Colaggio will join me to give me praises about the Maple Leafs blowing it in another interesting way again, because as I said, this time they just found a way to get clobbered in games 5 and game 7. Normally it's dramatic finishes in these games, but not this time. This time they just flat out get their butts whipped. We'll get Mick's reaction and his thoughts on game 1 tonight between Florida and Carolina. I think that's going to be a rock'em sock'em, throw 'em down, all-out brawl, heavyweight brawl between 2 really good teams and really good defensive teams. I don't expect a lot of goals in this series, but we shall see. Edmonton and Dallas get going tomorrow night as well. So we get all of that to talk about. And with that, we welcome in Angel Martinez up yonder from where I am at Fort Myers, up in Tampa Bay.
That's right.
How are you, Angel?
We're doing just good up here in Tampa Bay. We're always fixing stuff, messing with the weather. We're doing all kinds of crazy things up here in Tampa. We're all right, though. Yeah, we're good.
I'll try to take kindly to the critter.
That weather is absolutely perfect. I mean, you can't ask for anything better, honestly, other than maybe some rain because it's desperately needed.
Oh, yeah, we definitely need the rain, man. It's going to be 90s the rest of the week here, and yesterday wasn't too bad. Sunday it's fell, but hey, it is what it is. My sister-in-law just left yesterday. She was going back to a place where it's going to be 49 degrees.
Yeah.
And you said your sister-in-law too was going back to a place where it's going to be what, 50 to 44, whatever it was.
Yeah, it was when she boarded the plane, she said the temperature was 55, feel like temperature 44 degrees. So no, I'm good.
And where was she headed to?
Back to Chicago.
Oh, Jesus.
Yippers. So no thanks.
Yep.
But the funny thing was too, she said that they needed rain. I'm like, what? You guys have been rained out basically all winter long. You're asking for more? And she's like, well, I don't want the grass to go to get brown. I want it to be green. I'm like, you have a lot of time for that grass to turn green up there up north. So yeah, we desperately need it down here for sure, more than anybody else, but we're going to get it. It's that time of the year where we'll start ramping.
It's coming. We're 20 days into May, but man, and we know in June down here, it rains every day for a few minutes, usually.
Yeah. Which is always fun because, we already know it'll come through for about 15, 20 minutes and it goes away. And then you just carry on about your day like it's nothing.
You know what's good about it too, and not to get all sentimental, but I think in Southwest Florida, you get the most tremendous rainbows. It's amazing every single day because as soon as the rain stops, you're right, it's usually like 15 minutes tops. Sometimes not even that, but it comes down hard.
Yeah.
It comes down hard. And then afterwards you get a rainbow, or if you're lucky, you get a double rainbow. I've had a lot of great pictures over the years of beautiful rainbows. But anyway, we digress. All right. I was going to start with Major League Baseball, but I got to start with high. We're going to cram a lot in here because basically it's a 2-hour show. We're going to go to about 9 o'clock today. And we got Jay Flannelly coming up in Ann Arbor. We're going to get into a lot of NFL and college football stuff with him. And later on Michelangelo for the for some NHL talk about how he feels about about Edmonton and Dallas, and tonight Panthers at the Hurricanes. Meanwhile, the 9th straight playoffs for the Leafs. They don't advance past the second round. 2017, 18, 19, 20, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025. Ever want to teach a young person how to count like that's, a baby? No. Once you get past 16, show them the Toronto Maple Leafs failure in the playoffs. Just say, hey, here's the Maple Leafs in 2017, 2018. You don't even have to say the 20. Just say 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25.
Are those true closings? No, those are lost years.
And, now you're getting the excuses out of the Maple Leafs, not by all of them, but by some, and certainly their and some of the media that are talking about how there's so much pressure in Toronto, blah, 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 blah. People don't have like Maple Leaf Park and all that stuff, which is absolute bullshit. All these teams, NBA and NHL alike, all have these block parties outside of their respective arenas. It's been going on now for a few years. This guy, Ken Campbell, who I completely respect, he's a freelance hockey writer. He came on and said yesterday, he tweeted out, I've covered this team for a long time, meaning Toronto Maple Leafs. I've never once heard Matt Sundin, Gary Roberts, Joe Newendike, Darcy Tucker, Steve Thomas, or Curtis Joseph grouse about the pressure of playing in Toronto. They embraced it, they welcomed it, and they were at least moderately successful. And by moderately successful, they went to the Western Conference Finals a couple of times, and that's what he means by moderately successful. They got out of the second round a couple of times. And those guys never, ever, and he's right. It was just one, and I didn't even start thinking about it back then. This is like 2000 to 2004. But since then, they're like 2-22 in playoff series. It's crazy. Meanwhile, let me see. If we can scroll down, Angel, Matthew Tkachuk for the Panthers yesterday ambushed the show, Spittin' Chicklets, which is a great show, which Busy's on, and a couple of other guys. This is a riot. If we could scroll down and play this first, get into some others. So I'll cram as much funny video in as we can.
Keith, apparently I'm being told you have a special guest.
Yeah, so I reached out to my my agents who represent a bunch of singers and stuff like that. So we got Justin Bieber coming on here to have a couple words with Busy Boy. Oh no, wait, it's Matthew Tkachuk. It's Matthew.
It's Bob Saucer, Cesar Lucero.
What up, boys? What up?
Take your hat off when he's in the room, Biz. Thank you.
Show some
What's going
goddamn
on,
respect,
boys?
Biz. Show some
Here,
respect.
one sec.
He's leaving. Last time he grilled you before the series, and now
I
he's
know.
like,
I think that's
my
that's
belts.
what hurt them a little bit. I don't know what hurt them more before that him asking the question.
S&M.
Oh man.
Keith, apparently I'm being told you have
Oh my God. Anyway, let's scroll down a couple more, Angel, if we could, from Sportsnet. And Alexander Barkov and Matthew Tkachuk spoke yesterday about how the Panthers match up with the Carolina Hurricanes ahead of Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals tonight.
Same thing for you. I mean, that series, I mean, that was, like obviously with the 4 overtimes, you in the second one bringing everybody right to the locker room. Obviously, the buzzer beater that you scored in the series clincher. I mean, just how much do you enjoy specifically playing Carolina and hope to sort of rekindle that this series?
I don't think really anybody enjoys playing Carolina. Like, they're a tough team to play against, and they make it hard on you every game. But yeah, there were good memories here in this building a couple years ago in the whole series for us. But it's all back to zeros now. It's a new year, a new series. I mean, you think about it. I personally thought Carolina was going to beat the Rangers last year. So when you look at it, it could have been 3 years in a row of us playing against each other in the conference finals. So I think that just speaks to how not only talented our two teams are, but how we're built for playoffs, and they are as well. Like they're a great team, and it's going to make for another great showdown. But we've been two of the top teams in the East for, I mean, even before I got here, Carolina's been knocking at the door. For I feel like they've been in and around this for almost like 10 years now. Like it feels like a long time. So they've had a great run, and it's no surprise that we're facing them in this.
Okay, now, Angel, if we could, you heard him talk about a couple of years ago the sweep that the Florida Panthers put on the Carolina Hurricanes in 4. Scroll down a couple, as I said. Here's Rod Brindamore, coach of the Hurricanes at the time, and he must have been somewhere else because he didn't think it was a 4-game sweep, even though it says 4-zip in the stats.
Different way. Well, that's the unfortunate part of this is he's going to look back and everyone's going to say he got swept, and that's not what happened. I watched the game. I'm there. I'm cutting the game. We're in the game. That we didn't lose 4 games. We got beat, but it's we were right there, and this could have went the other way, and it could have been 4 games the other way. And tonight, the way it ended is tough. Getting a penalty like that, that's tough. Especially what was let go, and then that's gonna sting. But not to take anything away from the other team because they played hard. But I think we took a huge steps this year. Coming this far, like I said, with what we were missing is pretty impressive. Different way. Well, that's
says 4. It's this Florida series says right here. Florida 4, Carolina zip. Florida 4, Carolina zip. Panthers 4, Hurricanes zip. That's what I said last time we played. 4-0.
By the way, why does Rod look more and more like Vince McMahon as he continues to get older?
That was from a couple of years ago, but he spoke yesterday as well. Look, this is a 3rd straight Eastern Conference final they've been to. Obviously, they've gone to the Stanley Cup the last 2 years, defending Stanley Cup champions, and Carolina's gone to the Eastern Conference Finals 2 of the last 3 years, but did lose in one of them. 4-0. 4-0. It was 2 years ago, back in 2023, that Florida swept the 4-0 back in 2023, and then lost to Vegas. Remember that 5 games in the Stanley Cup final. Panthers returned to the Stanley Cup last year, and in 7 games beat the Edmonton Oilers. So Rod Brindamore did say yesterday, we know we're playing the Stanley Cup champs. They got better, in my opinion, and went up and picked Brad Marchand and Seth Jones. There was some of the best players of other teams. It's going to be a challenge. We know it's going to be tough, but it's supposed to be that at this time of year. Anyway, Carolina beat the New Jersey Devils and the Washington Capitals in 5 games each, becoming the first team to win back-to-back 7-game series in 5 games or fewer since Tampa defeated Columbus and the Bruins in 5 back 5 years ago in 2020. So this should be an outstanding series tonight. We'll have more on this. We'll break it down with Mick Colagio coming up at 8:30. My NHL in the 4, 2023. Panthers 0 in games. Carolina Hurricanes 2023. 4-0. Rod. But it felt like 7. No, you lost in 4, son. You lost in 4. All right, let's get into a couple of other things here. Let me see. As I said, I want to play as much video as I can today on the show. We'll get to the Ryan Clark thing in a few minutes. Let's get. You know what? Let's scroll down. Let's get to some NFL news, shall we? From the Pat McAfee show yesterday, and NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport had some stuff to say as well about some of the meetings, some of the items being discussed at the owners' meeting. So if we could scroll down, Angel, and play that. And Pat McAfee, the wild card seeding is the headline.
I want to make sure I got the right one.
Yep, that's it.
The seeding. So that's the one that the Lions put forth. By the way, Wednesday morning is when this is going to be debated, not Tuesday afternoon. So Wednesday morning. Wild card seeding is an interesting one because that was what the Lions said. maybe division winners don't get a home game. I don't know that that's got enough support, but I believe it's going to be discussed. There's people who think this may be more like when the eventually goes to 18 games, this would be introduced. But you also could do like if a team doesn't have a winning record and they're the conference winner, maybe then they don't host. So I think these are some of the bigger issues to be discussed Wednesday.
Okay, I'm looking forward to what they do. We need flag football.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of money being given out to these players.
The seating.
All right, so that's just one of the issues. And right out of the gate, then we'll get into the tush push thing because that's going to come again too. Look, I understand. I mean, look, Lions, you're not the first team to, have a great record and not get a home playoff game. I mean, I get it, but I do think, and I agree with Ian, I don't think they're going to get the support that they need to switch this. As he said, maybe in the 18-game schedule when that comes out, which is only inevitable, that they're going to add one more game. And even then, I don't even think it's going to happen then. I think if you got to have the division, win the division's got to mean something. You got to get a little bit of an advantage. And I know we could play this game all year long. This conference is better than that conference. This division is better than that division, blah, blah, blah. That gets sort of cyclical. So I do think, and we've seen teams have losing records and win the division. Seen it happen. Seattle did it 7-9 one year, and then they won a playoff game too. I think winning the division has to mean something. Otherwise, why even have division? Why even have it? Why even have it? So it's an extra incentive. I think the division winner should get the home playoff game, and that's just it. And sometimes it's just the luck of the draw. The Lions got caught up in a situation last year, unique one, where probably 90% of the time they get a home playoff game, but they didn't. No excuse. They lost eventually, but still, it's just, I think the division, you have to get some kind of reward for winning the division. Sorry, that's just it. It's cyclical. It's not the same ones every year. The AFC is better than the NFC East. The AFC West is better than the NFC West. Sometimes vice versa. Who knows? But I think you need to reward, Angel, the division winner, a home playoff game. I got no problem with that.
Yeah, you do. I know the whole thing with flag football continues to evolve, and I get it. I know that's the next route for the NFL, but I want to hear how much of a discussion that's going to end up being. The tush push is going to be a big one, I think, and that might still even get seated until next winter meetings. But the one flag football, I think, is going to be the more interesting one because I want to see how much that's going to end up taking over possibly the NFL. I don't see it anytime soon, but it could happen.
Well, they want it for the Olympics or whatever. I think it's stupid. I don't want any of my players on my team playing in stupid flag football. I don't want anything to do with it. I don't care. I think it's silly. You want to play it with little kids and everything else, that's fine. I don't want my NFL players, unless they're retired, playing in flag football. It's ridiculous. It's just, and I don't want to hear, well, they're not going to get hurt. Please, these guys get hurt in OTAs with non-contact drills. Just running out of bounds sometimes.
Yep.
It happens a lot. And I don't want my guys hurt playing stupid, silly flag football. It's ridiculous.
We've seen guys with just coming off the treadmill and they just all of a sudden they tweak a hamstring and do something or another. So yeah, it's just if they didn't want a hard hit during a Pro Bowl, and that's why they brought out flag football, then don't do it during the Olympics, especially before the seasons get ready to kick off.
All right, NFL owners decided to table the vote on the Packers' initial proposal at the Palm Beach meetings in April for the tush push, and they're going to revisit it tomorrow in Minneapolis, where these meetings are heading on. So the tush push, as we all know, where the team lines up one or more players behind the quarterback to push them forward against the defense. How many times the tush push actually happened, according to ESPN research? The percentage of total plays last year? 0.28%. 0.28%. That's how much often or little it appeared last year. But the Eagles and Bills ran the play more than any other team. The two combined to run 163 tush pushes in the past 3 years, more than the rest of the NFL combined. Not only did the Eagles and Bills run the play the most often, they were the most successful. They scored or achieved a first down on 87% of the tush push attempts, which is fine. I brought this number up before. Except the rest of the league was successful 71% of the time. That's pretty damn good. So because the Eagles and Bills are 16% better, we're having this stupid, idiotic, silly discussion. And as I said, it'd be one thing if the rest of the league was like, 5%, 10%, 15%. This is not that big a discrepancy, 87% to 71%. You're going to get it right 71% of the time. The Eagles and Bills get it right a little bit better. So what? Stop them then. Stop them.
Yep.
This is so silly to me. It really is. It's so silly. And through the initial language seemingly targeted by the Bills and Eagles, targeting the Bills and Eagles by specifically seeking to eliminate pushing immediately at the snap, they revised proposal in broader in an effort to entice more teams to vote for the ban. The revised proposal would return the league to the rule it followed back in 2005. But they need 24 to 32 owners, and sources told ESPN's Kalen Keller that teams were split on the proposal in April in favor of Green Bay's proposal and 16 in favor, 16. It's not going to pass. And why should it? Because every team in the league is successful doing it. It's just the Eagles and the Bills do it a little bit better.
Yep.
That's all. They're expected to vote on the proposal in the coming days. In addition to other proposed rules, include a change to the playoff seating format, which we just heard about, the onside kick, and one that would allow NFL players to participate in Olympic flag football in 2028. Go ahead. Let them participate. I don't want any of my Patriot guys. I'm sure you don't want any of your Eagle guys. I am not going to sit there. They're going to play flag football against who? Who? Japan? Germany? What are they going to play against? I mean, seriously. Australia? Who's playing? Who are they playing against?
Nobody.
Ireland? Wales? United States versus Wales. Flag football, 8 o'clock on NBC.
It's too many freaking logistics to even try to put together on top of it. All other countries aren't into it either. I don't know. It's just going to be a washed up mess. Or are you going to have
I have no idea. I mean, I don't know. Some of these guys can go play for a different country, like the World Baseball Classic. If you're Italian or Latino, you play your respect. If you want, you can go play for respective countries, wherever your heritage is from. Wouldn't that be something? Get a bunch of guys, Irish guys, going to play for Ireland, and then a bunch of other players and whatever playing for. I mean, who's the United States going to play against? Who plays flag football around the world? I don't know. Is there a World Flag Football League that I don't know about? I don't think so.
The only other big one,
I apologize, but I'm not watching it.
Well, no, because the only other big one that I know about is down, in South America. That's about it. But most of those leagues are about the young girls that are trying to come up now. But as far as anywhere else,
flag football,
yeah, in South America,
I know flag football. Look, I know there's flag football championships for the youths of them, and in this, and we show it on TV all the time. You also see the Pop Warner championships as well on TV in the end. But I can't imagine Jalen Hurts getting hurt in a flag football game in the Olympics and then can't play for the Eagles. I just can't imagine. I just can't imagine it, or something, or anybody else. I don't care how significant a player you are, and obviously the top line. What would the roster be?
Or would you have it where Jalen would just come in one snap, and then whoever the backup rookie is to a practice squad comes in for the rest of the game?
No, they're not going to do that, Angel. They want the star players to play. There's not going to be any backup people. There's going to be backup people, but the backup people it's going to be one team. So say Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Drake May, Dak Prescott, Shadur Sanders, Aaron Rodgers. What I'm saying? Those are going to be a backup. I mean, that's good. They want the full arsenal part of this thing if they want. I hope most NFL players, unless they're going to get paid a shitload of money to do this, no way in hell. I can't even remember who would sign up to coach a flag football team, an NFL flag football team.
I got it.
You got 7 on 7, right? 7 on 7. Go. Two of you. It's like doing schoolyard football. 2 square outs, 2 square ins, and whatever.
I got the perfect candidate. All you got to do is cue the music.
Oh, you're absolutely right.
Yep.
Charlie Brown.
Exactly.
Mike McDaniel. No, he embarrassed the country. He's got. I don't think he makes it through week 6 before he gets canned. I really don't. I don't think he makes it. That organization right now is just absolutely.
He's been the quietest NFL coach out of all of them this past winter. I mean, you don't hear a word whatsoever from him at all.
I don't hear a word from anybody.
Rick says, by the
in
way,
that organization
Yeah.
at all.
Rick says, will a tush push be voted on for flag football too?
No, I think the tush push would probably not be as successful. You can reach over and grab a flag. You don't have to tackle the person. Just grab a flag. But good Lord. All right, let's get into. I'm going to play this Robert Griffin III reaction, where he says there's a line you don't cross in life, and Ryan Clark sprinted past it. I heard the Ryan Clark thing. I'm not going to play it, but he did say, among other things, he talked about this is about the Angel Reese Caitlin Clark thing, and he got mad because RG3 defended Caitlin Clark, and basically said, "Look, it's a hard foul. It's going to happen." She shoved a teammate in the back, which Angel Reese did hard, which I thought was a harder play than the foul that Caitlin Clark played. It's just basketball play. I mean, we wouldn't even come close to having these conversations. This was in the NBA, and now it's become race. And Ryan Clark, I do think Ryan Clark crossed the line here, talking about how RG3 basically doesn't have the right to talk about these type of incidents and be critical of black women because his 2 wives, including his current one, is white. So RG3 had a response to that. This is unbelievable. You see it, Andrew?
Wait a minute. I thought we were doing the audio. Give me a second.
Oh, no.
Back.
It's under RG3. It's under...
right here. There's a line you don't cross.
Yep.
Dun-dun-dun. Here we go.
Yo, what's up, everybody? It's your boy RG3, and I just wanted to get on here and talk to you guys because there's been a lot of buzz, a lot of conversations about my sports take that Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark, which was purely based in basketball. But I think all of you know there's a line in life that you just simply don't cross. Wives and children are always off limits, and Ryan Clark has sprinted past that line. Ryan Clark didn't like my sports take that Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark. And that's fine. It's okay. It's part of the game. Sports media, I'm going to have an opinion. This person might not agree with it. That person might not agree with it. But what you don't do is turn around and personally attack me and my family just because you don't agree with a sports opinion that is purely based off the sport.
Yep.
I didn't make it personal. But what that really shows is just how low of a person Ryan Clark is. But Ryan, you crossed the line, man. You made it personal and some. I really believe there should be no space in sports media for personal attacks. I've said it before. But certainly personal attacks against wife and children have always been off limits. Ryan, you attacked me and my family in a public forum on a level that shows just how low of a human being you are. You can disagree with me all you want. Challenge my takes, but keep my family and my wife out of it. That's a boundary that should always be respected, man. Always. Ryan Clark personally attacking me and my family because he disagreed with my sports opinion is a bad look for ESPN.
Yep.
It's cowardly, it's spineless, and it's weak. Ryan Clark personally attacking.
Okay. And now, Angel, just refresh my Twitter page and scroll down because I got to play the Ryan Clark thing now for you too, as well. It was otherwise you may say, well, maybe he took it out of context, like some of you knuckleheads might think sometime. Not around here, but some in the media. But this is you'll see it, Angel. Just right here, and I forget what podcast he's on. Here's Ryan Clark, and just listen to this.
We moved in to being able to read the expressions of a person and know their intent, know their character, know their perspective. But he does understand hate, because I think he also understands the hate of self. When you look at the play, which is all we can speak to as professionals, all we can speak to as analysts, Angel Reese pushed one of her teammates. Caitlin Clark had a hard foul, which is part of basketball. I feel like it was assessed correctly. And Angel Reese's reaction is the sort of reaction you get in a situation when you feel like you took an intentionally hard foul. That's competitiveness. That's rivalry. That's not hate. And so now, though, when RG3 jumps on to the hate train or to the angry train, and now follows along with what we saw from Keith Olbermann, what we saw from Dave Portnoy, as they poured on to Angel Reese to make her the villain in Caitlin Clark's
Could you pause it right there?
heroic or hero.
Pause it. Okay. Again, he's not being fair because RG3 brought up 5 or 6 video examples on his podcast or whatever he does and showed specific examples. And it's no different than the hard fouls that used to happen between the Celtics and the Pistons back in the day and a lot of other teams. Okay, continue. This is where he gets really, really crazy.
Story.
Right.
The one thing we know about RG3 is he's not having conversations at his home about what Black women have to endure in this country, about what young Black women and athletes like Angel Reese have had to deal with being on the opposite side of Caitlin Clark's rise and ascension into stardom. Now, when you look at it, I think A'ja Wilson is the face of the league. A'ja Wilson is the best player in the league. Caitlin Clark is the most important player in the WNBA. And a ton of her fandom has come along with some racial bias or some racial pieces to why people love her so much. And so now, if you're RG3, when is the last time within your household you've had a conversation about what she's dealing with? You haven't been able to do that because in both of your marriages, you've been married to white women. You haven't had opportunities to have those conversations to educate you on what they're feeling, what Black women deal with, what they're seeing when they think of a young Angel Reese. And the whole time that he's mimicking Angel Reese and bobbing his head and moving his neck while he's doing this whole piece, his wife is in the back amening and clapping. And so to me, it's just another situation that now the young lady has to deal with. When I worked with RG3, he would make all of these sort of corny jokes about milk and how much he loved it and how important it was. And he always points out on social media the color of his wife's skin, as if the color of her skin is what makes her special, as if the color of her skin is what makes her a good wife. I've met the lady, I've had a conversation with her. Right. I think she's more than that. But it also leads to what Black women deal with a lot from Black men who have chose to date or marry outside of their race. They always feel like they have to go the extra mile to prop up the woman that they're married or the woman that they're with over Black women by denigrating Black women. I feel like we should have an opportunity to move past that and understand that Angel Reese can be great in her own right, as Caitlin Clark is as well. Caitlin Clark is a likable and lovable superstar. She pays homage to the stars of the past. She pays homage to the Black women that have come before her. And now she is carrying the mantle forward. So there's no need to.
All right, hold on. There's only a couple of seconds left there. Now he's talking about as far as, and Caitlin has, even from last year, has stated many a times defending Black women in the WNBA. And not only that, but the history behind it. So as you want to make a hypocritical statement, but at the same time, you acknowledge what Caitlin has done.
Pin those two against each other and paint them based on stereotypical tropes. And I think this is what I like RG3 to know, that no matter how much he continues to echo the microaggressions of racists, he'll be no less Black than me.
Hold up. Unfucking believable. Now, ESPN, because they have no balls. If they had balls, they would do this morning. They would have RG3, who's no longer there. He's doing his own independent stuff now. And I think he's working for another network. I can't even keep track. But I know he does his podcast. And if ESPN, which has no balls, if they did, they would have Ryan Clark this morning, either on First Take or Get Up, and RG3, and hash this out. I would watch. I think it would be entertaining as hell. I think it's completely unfair what Ryan Clark said. ESPN, because they have no balls, I'm 90% sure they won't even bring this topic up because it makes them look bad. It's the fourth or fifth incident of Ryan Clark bringing up race, which I'm talking about the last few months. Everything is race. It's always about race, no matter what. He'd think the black and white cookie is racist somehow. It's tiresome. It's tiresome from a guy who's been around football and been in the front office for a couple of teams and everything else, and was rumored to be a GM somewhere. The take he has on this is, I don't like cancel culture or anything like that, but I got to tell you, if that was reversed, and there was a white guy saying that about a black guy, all hell would fucking break loose, and that guy would be canned immediately. Ryan Clark, it's not even a cheap shot. It's classless, and I agree with RG3. Cowardly to say what he did. Cowardly. That it's like you don't know what kind of conversations he's had with not just his current wife but his ex-wife about different issues. Because she's white, she can't have an insight. I'm sitting here. I'm Italian American, okay, completely. Yeah, do I know what it's like to be a black man or a minority? No, I don't. But I can still have some insight, and I can still have empathy, and I can still understand what a lot of minorities and a lot of white people have gone through too. It's not just like, there's a lot of people that have come from, nothing, and a lot of different ethnic backgrounds, and I get it. But what he has done, Ryan Clark, again, it's just so over the top. It's irresponsible. And I don't blame, I think RG3 handled it pretty much with class. But because ESPN management is stupid, they won't put these two on together today and hash it out, because I would watch. Let him go at it for like 10, 15 minutes. Clear the air if you must. Show what RG3 did, which I don't think is a big deal at all. I think it is Ryan Clark reaching, and he's not the only one to make Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese about race. And I'm not saying there aren't racists out there making an opinion one way or the other. It's always going to be that way. There's always knuckleheads out there about that stuff. It's nothing to do with that. Angel Reese's foul was harder than what Caitlin Clark did on Angel Reese. Right. Go look at it. Go look at the push in the back. It's bad. It happens. We see this every night in the NBA, every night. And we've seen it. And I saw this morning, they showed some WNBA. It happens all the time. Yeah, but all the time. And for Angel Reese to get all, angry about it, and like someday somebody's going to cold cock Angel in the face. One of these ladies is going to be a little unladylike, be a professional basketball player, just like in the NBA, and they are going to punch her dead in the face. And that's going to be, and then maybe she'll get, I would love, go back and watch Parrish and Lambert back up. You got double whammy, bam, bam. Parrish hit him twice, punched him twice, boom, boom. Nothing happened. You got to get a tactical. Didn't get thrown out of the game, but that was when, the NBA was a lot more physical. But she better be really careful, because it's not going to be Caitlin, but somebody is going to smash her down in one of these instances, because she's a very good player. She's not a great player, and she's not better than Caitlin Clark. She's not. She's a very good player. Maybe she will be in a couple of years, whatever, but she's a not better player than Caitlin Clark. Yeah. The other guy that Ryan Clark was talking about, the other is the best player in the league. I don't even know who she is. I don't even know who she plays for. And to be honest with you, I don't care, because I'm not watching it. I watch Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark occasionally when they're playing. Like I said, it has to be, I have to be flipping through a commercial of something else sports-wise or entertainment that I'm watching to click on the WNBA. It's just not my cup of tea. I don't care. After you watch the best of the best in the NBA, I just don't give a shit about the WNBA. I don't care. I think they've drawn, these two have drawn more interest than ever in the league. It's great for the league. I get it. But I personally, I'm not sitting there going, oh, I got to tune into Caitlin Clark. Oh, I got to tune into Angel Reese. Now, when the two play each other, because they hype it up, 24/7 for 3 days, if I'm around, I'll watch it. That's just me. Whatever floats your boat. I'm just saying that's way down the bottom of the list. But Angel Reese better be really careful, because she's making a lot of enemies with a lot of people, running her mouth and everything. And look, she's like the Draymond Green of the WNBA at a very young age. So that's fine. And Draymond Green's going to have to be in a Hall of Famer, but he's also got a horrible reputation. So she has to be really careful here.
She was at LSU. When she was coming out, she said that she wanted to be the bad boy of the WNBA. And that's fine. If that's exactly what you wanted to be, then accept the punishment because exactly what you were. First of all, your game is not that great. Everybody knows this. And your head coach, I understand she had to sell you to get into WNBA, but your game's still not that good. If you will focus upon your game rather than all the talk that you end up doing, you could be a much better player. And there's been a lot of people that said that. The same thing from when it comes to Ryan Clark is that you turned around for many years and had talked about how, this is racist, that's racist, so on and so forth. And then, we need to curb that. If we don't curb it, it's never going to get any better. But I need to come out with this statement as well. And then to be unfair to RG3 because he's married to a white woman makes no sense either. So
when you say the dude, when you talk about he says any black man who married outside his race, I mean, that is so. If he were white and on ESPN and said that, he is on ESPN, but if he was a white guy and said that, that he married outside his race, what would the reaction be? What would the reaction be? What is okay to be married outside his race? So a black man can't marry a white woman? Can a white man marry an Asian person? Can a Latino man marry a white girl? Can a white girl marry a Mexican? I mean, what are we talking about here? This is so stupid. But my thing is, if it was the other way around, if I said that at ESPN, if I said RG3 married outside, I'm a white guy, and I'm a European American, by the way. That if I came out on the air and said RG3 married outside his race, and that's why he can have no insight into whatever topic I want, are you serious? I would be canned immediately. Immediately. Not even a discussion. Goodbye. Hey, Pete. Nice to know you. See ya.
Yep.
I wouldn't even think about saying that about marrying outside your race. Are you kidding me?
It's the dumbest conversation ever. Honest to God, it really is. By the way, Jerry from Rhode Island says, if it wasn't for all this nonsense about race, no one would be talking about the WNBA.
No, you're right. A lot of it, except when Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese play, people watch. The ratings are sky high.
Yep.
But you're right. Rick said, did you see the video of Reese being asked about question she answered last year, but said next question when asked this year? I think it was about her getting attention.
Yep.
A lot of it is like that. She won't answer certain things either. She's not the first athlete to do that, but like I said, the story here is Ryan Clark and his absolutely ridiculous comments, and I want to see what kind of balls that ESPN has. If this morning they even mention it. Now, this was not Ryan Clark on ESPN. This was him on a different podcast. But so what? A lot of these guys on ESPN do their own different podcasts. Stephen A. has his own different podcast. This is ridiculous. How he is not. Again, I'm not calling for someone to be, but address it. This is what ESPN does all the time and a lot of other networks. When it's one of their own, they won't address it. This is going to be a topic probably on every single sports radio platform today in some way, shape, or form. And I've already spent too much more time on it than I really wanted to. But now I'm getting angry and aggravated about it because I know ESPN is going to take the cowardly way out and not have these two guys on. And if I'm wrong, then I'll eat some crow.
Yep.
That's
of course you are.
Prove me wrong. Put those two guys on and let them go at it and hash it out, or at least address the topic on either Get Up or First Take or one of your shows about what Ryan Clark said. You can't, at ESPN, you people in Bristol, you cannot let something like this go because it's one of your own. You do it all the time. Have some balls and address it.
But at the same time, too, if Ryan wanted to go down that route, then why does he flip it the other way around when you have black women that are married to white men? For example, you got Evelyn Magley, who is the first black woman that has ever owned an all-male athletic team in the basketball league, and then now with the basketball super league. She's married to David Magley, who was a former NBA player with the Cleveland Cavaliers. They have a beautiful relationship, and their kids smarter than friggin' ever. Her two grandsons, are running the junior TBL. Both speak fluent French because of their dad. And you go to their meetings, the sons or the grandsons will speak French first and then English next. And that's because why they've all grown well of each other. They've all helped each other out. So when you want to talk about, RG because he's married to a wife, then reverse the roles. Take a look at Eva Magley. She's been successful now for 7 seasons with the basketball league. So just stop with the whole thing that we want to keep.
It's always that way. It's always hypocrisy. Ryan Clark can say that shit and get away with it. I come out and I say it, and all hell breaks loose. I'm fired already. Believe me, if I came out and said what he said, there is no question about it. If I come out and I start talking about race in marriages, and I'm a white guy talking about, he has no business talking about. I'm gone in a second. The hypocrisy is unbelievable. My biggest thing is ESPN will take the cowardly way out and not address it. So prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. I'll bet you a guy, as much as I disagree a lot with Stephen A., but I'll bet you like Stephen A. wants to talk about it, and maybe he's going to get shot down. Now, he's the most highly paid person there. Maybe he's got some more pull maybe than I think in this situation, or maybe he doesn't want to talk about it at all. But actually, he did talk about it a little bit yesterday on First Take, Angel. I'm going to have to refresh and scroll down because they did bring it up yesterday, Stephen A. and company, about the foul that was called. So here's what they had to say.
It's about that white player and that black player. Why? Because of the history that they had before they came to the WNBA. You see, it was all instigated. If Angel Reese was never in Caitlin Clark's face, taunting her the way that she did when they mimicking what Caitlin Clark was doing to numerous opponents en route to the Final Four. And then Angel Reese and LSU bust their living, at that particular moment in time. And Angel Reese was in her face chirping at her the way that she did, it would have never gotten to this point. But I have never deemed that to be a bad thing. I love that kind of confrontation. I love that kind of heat. But there are white folks in America that had a problem with Angel Reese coming at the chosen one, Caitlin Clark, that way. And because of that, they acted with the level of vitriol. How do we know that? Because Angel Reese came back to college the following year. And one of the things that reduced her to tears was the vitriol that she was receiving from around the country because people were hating on her because of her elevated popularity and the fact that she had gone at Caitlin Clark that way. So now we come to the WNBA. No fault of Caitlin's at all. But in the end, because of her greatness and because people were resistant to accepting her greatness the way which I have articulated on many occasions, you have people using that as an excuse to throw vitriol at other people. But in the end, here's what I say. That's contributed to Angel Reese becoming a household name, according to along with the fact she's a rebounding demon. The girl she grabs and rebounds, she can play, but that's elevated her level of popularity. And what I would say to all of y'all is this: as a person that's covered the NBA and grew up watching the NBA, no matter how great Michael Jordan was, obviously, it started with Bird versus Magic. Yeah, you could talk about Showtime versus Boston, but that white superstar losing in that national championship game to that dude called Magic at Michigan State when he was at Indiana State, and then ultimately coming into the NBA, and they constantly met in the finals about 3 times, and they owned most of the 80s in terms of the 2 teams respectively. The bottom line is it contributed to elevating the popularity. Yeah. So Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, embrace this. It's okay.
Yeah.
Because all y'all do is competing.
Yeah, really quick. I think as much as sports are community, right? Mm-hmm. There are also some lines that carry through sports in terms of our cultural experience in this country, right? And sure. I'm with you, S.A. There are differences in these 2 women, how they show up, the folks that are diehard fans of theirs, and I think it's all fine. My ask in all of this is just respect as a base level, right? Respect both of these women as athletes, respect the humanity of both of these.
Yeah, Monica's right. I got no problem with that. Yeah. And they should embrace it. It's not like, was it a race issue with Magic and Bird at times? Yeah, I think so. I mean, there was a lot of people that didn't root for the Celtics in Boston. If you saw the documentary, there are a lot of minorities that didn't root for the Celtics back then, even though despite all the history of having the first black player in the NBA, the first all-black starting five in the NBA, the first black head coach in the NBA, despite all that, and Red Auerbach was the least racist person in the world, and he's Jewish, and he just wanted the best for the best. This, I guess, is always going to be that the race issue is always going to exist, unfortunately. I'm hoping it gets better and better. But the one thing that they say is correct is that Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark just embrace it. Because, not the race part, but embrace the competition part like Bird and Magic did. They never talk shit about each other except saying they wanted to beat each other all the time. It was never about, hey, you black guy, hey, you white guy, hey, this, that. The only time race was ever brought up during that time that was a big issue, and Larry Bird poo-pooed it, and it was about it was when Isaiah Thomas said he could find a bunch of white guys off the street and be another Larry Bird. And they made them hold a press conference together back in the day. And Larry's like, I got no problem with it. Isaiah's Isaiah. And he goes, I'm really tired of talking about it, and then got up and left. He wasn't offended by it. I've heard Larry talk about it a gazillion times in the recent documentary that's been fantastic, the Bill Simmons thing on Cinemax. They address it. But Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, and just embrace the moment, because it may not last a lot, may not last forever. All right, but for now, embrace it. It's the reason why people are watching the WNBA in droves, because it was never that way before you two came into the league. All right, quick break. When we come back, Jay Flanley from Beeves World is going to join us here on the Pete Sheppard Show, and we'll get to some NFL, particularly the 49ers, some college football news to talk about, and maybe he has an opinion on this as well. All that, and then Michelangelo at the bottom of the hour of 8:30, we will discuss the Stanley Cup playoffs. All part of the Pete Sheppard Show here on a Tuesday on the Coastal Sports Network.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Anderson windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Anderson windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
Hey, everybody, it's Pete Sheppard from the Coastal Sports Network. Want to tell you about my good friend Lou DiMuzio and his company. Lou is the president and founder of Ace Technology Advisors. They're big-time tech specialists. At ATA, they're able to craft, implement, and manage the best and most appropriate solution for your business. They leverage their industry-leading experience and their portfolio of technology partners to improve your best practices and infrastructure. So you can get a hold of them at 888-599-4223. That's 888-599-4223. Check them out on their webpage, www.acetechadvisors.com. That's www.acetechadvisors.com. Or you can email them, sales@acetechadvisors.com. Check out my friend Lou DiMuzio and Ace Technology Advisors.
Right now, our country feels divided, but there's a place where people are coming together.
I gotta tell you, I was nervous to talk to someone so different than me.
Me too, but I'm glad we are.
Love Has No Labels and One Small Step are helping people with different political views, beliefs, and life experiences come together through conversation, and it feels good.
Wow, your story is so...
Interesting?
Yeah.
When people actually sit down, talk, and listen to one another, they can break down boundaries and connect as human beings. At lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep, you can listen to amazing, life-changing conversations and find simple tools to start a conversation of your own.
I know one thing. This conversation gives me hope.
It gives me a lot of hope, too.
Take a step toward bringing our country and your community together by having the courage to start a conversation at lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep. A message from StoryCorps, Love Has No Labels, and the Ad Council.
People do some pretty cool things in their 40s and 50s. Why should saving for retirement be any different? I mean, they go back to college, learn new instruments, start skateboarding. Whoa! Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. With aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a 3-minute chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach from AARP. You'll get personalized recommendations based on your input that are easy to understand and work with your lifestyle. It's quick, easy, and free. Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back.
Woohoo! Gnarly move, Dad.
Thanks, sweetie.
So wherever you are in your retirement savings journey, head to aceyourretirement.org and start chatting with Avo today. That's aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad, just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Don't spaz out because your team lost. Let Pete do it for you. Now, back to the Pete Sheppard Show.
Capability. Fly ball, center field, pretty well hit, carrying out toward the wall. It is gone! 2-run center field home run for Alec Bohm. And the Phillies have taken the lead here in the top of the 8th inning on the 3rd home run of the year from Bohm. Why not? Down the left field line, toward the corner, toward the pole. It is gone! 2-run home run for Sosa. The Phillies have come alive in the last 2 innings, and now all of a sudden lead it 9-3.
See ya, Colorado. You know what happened, Angel, last night in that game? I was watching some of it. Colorado was in awe. Not of Philadelphia, but of themselves, because they had a 3-1 lead in the 7th inning. They were in awe of themselves. They looked up and said, how the hell did that happen? We can't let this happen. Here you go. Let's do Meatball City. And the Phillies clobbered them in the end, winning 9-3, although you'd never know it for watching the game. Schwarber, by the way, that was his 300th career home run, 466-foot bomb. That hit the 3rd deck in right field, and the Phillies rallied because the Rockies were in awe, and they beat the Colorado Rockies last night by a score of 4-3. And because of this,
right into that conversation, Jaron Duran, because the baseball is larger in Major League Baseball than it is in Japan. Another line drive, that one down the right field line, all the way to the wall. Narvaez churning around third, he's being waved in. He's going to score into third base, standing up up with another triple. Jaron Duran to go with his double in the first inning. And the Sox are on top 3-0. He is cooking. And with 2 down, he picks up another RBI.
So Phillies fans thanking Red Sox fans today because the Phillies are back in first place by a half a game over the stupid Mets in the National League East. First time since April 12th, Angels. So congratulations to you and congratulations to me. Not congratulating the Mets, who seem to be in a massive scoring drought, for now anyway. We'll get your Clan Leaf's opinion when he comes on in a second. But the Rockies, in awe of being ahead in the 7th inning, couldn't handle it.
Plus, Juan Soto got a talking to because he decided to, hop, skip, and jump, basically.
Yeah, dogged it out. Should have had a double, ended up with a single. And he's going to get a talking to by the manager today.
Oh, well, that's on him. So it doesn't pretty matter. Huh?
I don't know. Anyway, the Red Sox, when they closed the gap on the Yankees to 4.5, half game ahead of Toronto, and the Phillies jumped back into first place in the National League East over the Mets by a half a game for the first time since April 12th. Phillies have won 4 in a row with that one. So there you have it. All right, and just like that, fresh off a Mets loss to the Red Sox, they put the Phillies back in first place because, as I said, Jay, the Rockies were in awe, not of the Phillies. They all of a sudden looked up at the scoreboard and saw that they were ahead 3-1. It's like, what? No. We don't win this game. Here you go. We're up 3-1, but let's hand the Philadelphia Phillies. Let's play home run derby. Let's play and let them score the last 8 runs in the last 2 innings, and then go on to win 9-3. Putting the Phillies in first place over your Mets by a half a game. Anyway, good morning, my man. How are you?
I'm good, buddy. So it's funny you bring the Mets Red Sox game up in Fenway. How cold it was at the game. So
did you see the wind?
Oh, I know. So we had, because college baseball, they're starting the conference tournaments today, Tuesday. Michigan's playing at 11. Clemson has a bye. They're playing Wednesday at 1:00. But so what happened is Friday was like 85 here. Thursday was like 85 here in Ann Arbor. Then Friday was like 60. And then Saturday, our senior day, Pete, it was the coldest game we've had all year because it's the wind. What was it? It was at Fenway last night. You saw how cold the Mets.
But the wind coming off the Charles River is different than the wind coming off one of your lakes up there. You know.
Yes, but here's the other thing, and I'm glad you brought that up because of where Ray Fisher Stadium is, where Michigan plays. It's on the top of like a hill.
Yeah,
it's horrible. Like Kathy came to the spring game last year, not this year, the year before, 24, and it was the coldest day of the year in the spring, and we had a game then, and this was worse Saturday. So we got parents there from Arizona, California,
and you don't know how to dress.
And I keep telling these parents, I said, I don't blame you guys if you go home and you beat your kids because they should have gone to Hawaii or Arizona or someplace else.
It's like in New England too. My sister-in-law just going to visit Maine, where it's 49 degrees. The wind last night was unbelievable at Fenway. It's 90 degrees down here. Going to be again today. But you know what the problem is for the parents in the tournament you just talked about coming to see the kids play. You don't know how to dress because it could be like you said. It goes from 80 to 40 to the wind, which feels like 30. So what are you supposed to do? Pack your whole wardrobe for a whole weekend? How do you know what to dress for?
Because I went last year in Michigan. Now the Big Ten tournament's in Omaha, Nebraska, where the College World Series.
Okay.
The ACC tournament is in Durham, North Carolina, and the SEC's is in Hoover, Alabama.
Where's
by
the
the way,
East?
nobody cares.
I
don't even know where it is. I think it's.
By the way, Northeastern is like 49 or 39-1. They're like or 42 and whatever it is. They're like 25th or 24th in the country. To
give you an idea, they're supposed to be a 2 seed in the College World Series, but they're going to get placed at somebody like North Carolina.
Yeah,
because it's a snake. They do the inverted. Yeah,
of course.
So it's going to be. They might get sent to Clemson. No weather. So as far as the packing goes, everybody's got the weather apps. as far as Omaha, it's going to be like 55, 60 degrees.
Yeah.
Brandon Mann's parents, Kara and Steve, they're like my best buddies at the games. They run the parents group for Michigan. They're going over this because we only have like 10 kids from last year's team. We had such a massive turnover with the transfer portal and the graduations and everything. And that's pretty common, unfortunately, now in college baseball. But yeah, like you said, the weather, it's Omaha, Nebraska. You can get any kind of crazy
but
weather.
that's the thing. You don't know how to dress. I know you can look at the weather app, but it changes like hour by hour, it seems. And like that, it's just because it says on the app it's going to be 65 and sunny, that doesn't take into account. It'll say feels like whatever, but all of a sudden a gust of wind comes up, or I don't know. It's
so it was
very quickly.
It was funny last year when we went down. The Mans and I, we landed in St. Louis for a changeover, and there were tornadoes going through Omaha.
Yeah,
and so if you understand, the other thing that's interesting is Creighton has a really good team this year, and they're in Omaha. So now they're also in the Big East.
Yep.
Oh, and they have a really good program. It goes back.
Yeah, UConn's had a great program the last few years as well. I'm going to tell you right now, it's not just because I'm a fan of them. Watch out for the Miami Hurricanes. They are playing some of the best college baseball in the country. They have been on a freaking roll the last I'd say 6 weeks. Really, really impressive.
Yeah. So I think, because you brought up the Hurricanes, I think almost it's going to be universal that the national champion is going to come out of either the ACC or the SEC. They all eat each other. Clemson could have won the ACC. They're one game winner from the ACC, yet they're the 5 seed.
Yeah.
They won one more game. They changed one game result. They would be the 1 seed. Yeah. In the SEC is the same way. I think Texas A&M was preseason number 1, and they're like the lowest seeded. They lost a bunch of games in Missouri, who didn't have any wins.
By the way, how about the girls softball team, which was ranked number 1 overall? They just got knocked out
by Liberty.
Liberty. Yep.
So
Liberty. Yep.
Yeah. So it's funny, Pete. You follow me on social media. One of my buddies, he's the first base coach for Clemson. His wife is a big softball star, and she's a TV analyst now. And you follow Twitter and a lot of these different softball teams, with Oklahoma being so big thing now. Clemson's awesome too. But what happens is they tell you when somebody gets sent to a regional, this is an alert one, and the Liberty against A&M got kind of porked. Liberty was too good to be sent to them. And it was, obviously, I think they lost them twice.
I didn't see the results. I forgot because Oklahoma drew Boston University. And I don't know what happened in that. I'm assuming Oklahoma won.
I'll give you an idea. I hope the BU girls peck lightly. That's not gonna go.
I don't know if they even played yet. I don't know if they even played yet. Maybe they did. I don't know.
Well, I don't know if you've had a lot of experience with the Oklahoma softball team. My buddy Alex.
I know. They're awesome. They don't, once every 4 years.
So Alex Staraka, who was one of our pitchers here at Michigan, she transferred out there and won the title, I believe, 2 years ago in 23. She was one of the believers. And the Jordy Ball, who was one of the better pitchers on that team, she's at Nebraska now. By the way, last time I saw it, she had 4 College World Series at bats. She had 4 home runs. That's the most insane. Yeah. She's Owatani of college softball. There's a couple of them that had it. Clemson had a girl like this a couple of years ago. So no, it's insane. But no, that Oklahoma team, those BU girls, it's fun. You get your nice reward. You go, oh shit, now we got to go play Oklahoma.
So, that's why they play the games. That's why they play the games. Like I said, I got to check. These other tournament that started, so I'm assuming they already played. Although usually that would pop up on my social media, and I haven't seen it.
I'm looking right now. They're playing. No, I believe Oklahoma's advanced. So they would have played an extra game yesterday. I think we would know. Yeah, BU's out because, BU's out.
A good season. It's just it's the luck of the draw. You get the conference that they play in. They played. Well,
they're playing. Oklahoma played Cal in the divisional, the regional final. So BU lost previously. So I'm looking right now. I'm going to get the. I'm going to the bracket thing. Hold on.
Yeah, I am.
I know the listeners are just thrilled to have me do this.
I don't care. I'm looking at this about. That's my show. I can do whatever the fuck I want. I mean, it's like
see, that's why I'll always have a spot here. I love that.
Yeah.
No, I'm looking. Here it is. Where is it?
May 18th. All I see is 12-1 in the fourth. I see that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean,
that's not BU though. That's Cal.
Well, no, they might have lost. See, it's like they all play each other. So I'm looking now. It's funny that Oklahoma's not the one.
Yeah,
yeah. BU. They were with BU. It was BU Omaha in California.
Yep.
So yeah, Oklahoma didn't lose a game either. So the score.
All right. Well, we'll
I'll
figure
tell you
it
the
out.
score. I got it there.
All right.
Okay, they lost 8-0 the first time they played Oklahoma, which is not bad.
BU, yeah, that's not bad.
And then they got eliminated in the second game by Omaha. Lost 3-1.
Oh, okay.
So there you
So
go.
that's that. All right.
There you go.
Yeah. All right.
So Liberty's the dark horse to win the whole thing now, Pete. Imagine if they did that. Now they have big money. We've seen this with their other sports, their football team and other things. It's a big donor school like Grand Canyon and a couple of these other programs now. So it's going to be interesting to see. But, yeah,
they revitalized Hugh Freeze's career, a little bit.
Without question. Yeah, I mean, if you saw what happened to our softball team, Michigan, they got sent to Austin, Texas, and literally melted at 105 degrees against Texas and University of South Florida. So It was crazy. That was nuts.
All right. Deborah, hello. Good morning. Bloomer just getting prepped for Green Bay. Let's chat Dark Horse. What's going on?
Oh, yeah.
Let's get into the NFL and the meetings in Minneapolis. And first thing I can't believe we have to talk about this. I don't give a shit about flag football in any way, shape, or form. I don't want any of my guys on the Patriots playing in it. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to participate. You want to have college kids go do it? That's fine. I don't care. If, God forbid, one of my players or one of the star players ruptures an Achilles because they're making a cut on a stupid square route that they would do at recess in 6th grade for this stupid, idiotic flag football thing, that's number one. Number two, who are they going to play against? Is there an Australian flag football team? Is there a Japanese flag football team? Is there a Wales flag football team? A Kazakhstan football team? Africa flag football? I mean, I don't know. I just start with that concept of one of the things being discussed. I hate all of it, and I'm offended. I want it eliminated.
The Jamaican bobsled team is going to come play us, Pete.
Hey, they got a run.
Oh, I know. It is funny that you think about it, but again, it's a free opportunity for the NFL to
make more money. But what about if one of the star players goes down, or a couple of them do, on a stupid square in?
Okay,
meaningless.
I think there's a good opportunity that we have some alumni guys play. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Well, that's different.
I'm not going to name anybody, like, say, the guy behind me, but or 87 who used to play for the Patriots and Buccaneers.
Yeah, I don't mind that. Any ex-players that want to play, I got no problem with that. Or even ex-college players that didn't really make it. I don't care about that. I just don't want current players with the opportunity to injure themselves in some useless exhibition tournament. Where's a gold medal mean in flag? I want a gold medal, Jay, in flag football.
Hey, we beat Ukraine.
Lottie freaking da.
Yeah. Now, anybody who doesn't think this could really be a problem and having injuries, Pete and I will explain to you this tragic situation with Robert Edwards. And
that was a beach thing.
One of the most awful things you'll ever see. Yes, awful. One of the most the kid's leg basically broke off.
Exploded.
Oh, it's awful, awful. And Charles Woodson almost passed out looking at it. It was awful. His leg couldn't straighten out his leg. He was in the air. He's sitting there. It's the NFL hoarding itself, and it's money. But
I'm picturing Jalen Hurts or Patrick Mahomes, right? and they're on a stand, right? The national anthem is playing, and there's some idiot that nobody knows from Korea on the right, and some idiot from Ireland on the left that nobody knows. They won the silver and the bronze, and that's like, and we're winning the gold medal, and they're going to play the national anthem back. Are you serious? And Jalen Hurts probably up there trying not to laugh. Like, I got other things to do. Can I get out of here? The Eagles we got OTAs coming up. I mean, I'm picturing that. Just Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, somebody, Baker Mayfield, right on the getting the gold medal. I mean,
but they could send.
Second, how much would a gold medal for flag football go for on the open market immediately?
I don't know, but I have a feeling we're going to find out. So you could send Tom, Gronk, and Larry Fitzgerald. I mean, there's 3 guys immediately.
That's fine.
And Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald's another one. I mean, just bringing Aaron Donald and having him show up, half the other team guys will just go home. They'll say, this is going to be a very bad day. This isn't going to work.
It'll be addressed today. 24 of the 32 teams have to approve it, like with everything else. I don't know. I hope it doesn't get approved, but
they're too busy trying to take down Angels' team with the touch point.
And the Bills. And like I said, we talked about the statistics, and ESPN reiterated again today, and I already knew them. Okay, the Bills and the Eagles get successful, the touch push 87% of the time. The rest of the league, it's not like it's 2%, 10%, 5%, 20%. It's 71%. So most everybody gets it right. Just the Eagles and the Bills, at least for the last couple of years, have done it a little bit better. 71%. It's only been used in 0.28% of all plays in the NFL. So let's stop this nonsense.
I get a better idea. How about you try to figure out how to stop it?
Well, that's number one.
Like the Buccaneers have. The Buccaneers are one of the few teams that have done it. And
most every team does it successfully. It's 71%. It's just those 2 teams, the Bills and the Eagles, do it a little better. So what? So they do it better. Like you said, try to stop them.
It's interesting. So Deborah was asking, and good morning, Deborah. Thanks for trying to and supporting me. She's been with me 20 plus years, so she's going to heaven. Angel's laughing. Think about this, Pete. It's a good time for me and you to talk about this. Give us a dark horse team in each conference that you think could go to the Super Bowl or be really good that nobody's talking about or will not be talked about.
Well, I don't know about
AFC and NFC.
I think my Patriots are going to surprise a lot of people, and I think they have, because of the schedule. And the only difficult part of the schedule is they have 3 straight road games at one point in the season, including Mike Vrabel returning to Tennessee. I think they're going to surprise a lot of people. I think they got a great chance to be a playoff team. As far as I don't know, surprises. I think Cam Ward is going to light it up in Tennessee. I think he's going to be really good. I think that's something to watch. I think the Cleveland Browns with Shedeur Sanders as quarterback, because I think he's going to win it out. And that team was in the playoffs a couple years ago, and I think they have a chance to be. I'm talking about sleeper teams. I would pick them.
Well, it depends on how good you think the Steelers are going to be. Because obviously the Bengals and Ravens are going to be good.
The Bengals, but I expect that. I think the Bengals will be good, but I don't consider it a sleeper team because all they had to do was tweak their defense a little bit. I think the Steelers are in big trouble. Rodgers or no Rodgers, what you're hearing is supposed to maybe happen this week, but I would have thought it would have happened already. Even with him or without him, I think the Steelers are in major situation. They're in big trouble. And then out west, I don't know. The Rams a sleeper team? I don't think so. Maybe San Francisco. Is San Francisco a sleeper team? They just signed Warner. They just signed Warner, and obviously the right place at the right time. It's all about. I have no problem at all with the money they spent, not only on Warner, but also
Purdy and Kittle. Purdy on Kittle.
And Brock Purdy is. We talked about this. Right place, right time. He was going to get paid. If this was, if this was a few years ago. And he wasn't a rookie and all that. And now he's going to get paid as much $2.9 million a week as he did for his whole contract. But it's all about timing. It's right place, right time. He was going to get paid. Didn't matter. He was going to get paid. And the next guy up, whoever that may be, I don't know, is going to be close to the same thing. It's just timing. And he got extremely lucky that all these other guys signed before him. He's been to a Super Bowl. So we could talk about him for a few minutes and talk about
you can keep kicking the quarterback down the road and you end up being like the Dallas Cowboys paying Dak $85 million. I mean, that's the whole point. And, obviously I know the 49ers because it's Kathy's favorite team. And they were power when you and I were kids, Pete, so we know all about them and follow them. But it's a really smart organization. Amazing. They just extended Purdy, so they're able to pay Kittle and Warner. Now they have 3 of their stud players under cost control. McCaffrey and Trent Williams are near the end of the line. They'll be moving off them. They'll probably trade Ayuk, which they should have done last offseason. And they're kind of rebuilding the receiver room. But they have Kittle, they have the running game, and they have the defense. That's my dark horse NFC team, because they now have a last place schedule. There is no great bang-it-out team in the NFC after the Eagles. And the Eagles, the way they play, they want to pound you and run the ball, and they want to win. There's a pattern in the way they play.
The Eagles' schedule is extremely difficult, number one. Number two, I believe they're the only team. I think they're the only team this year that doesn't have back-to-back home games. And you factor in, they do have back-to-back road games several times during the regular season. And you factor in all the primetime games and all that and short rests. I think a 10 or 11 season is not, I think that's fair. A 10-win or 11-win season, but even a 10-win season with that schedule, getting back to the Super Bowl, which we know is hard. Sometimes getting back to the playoffs is hard for a lot of defending champions, and you got to stay reasonably healthy, which the Eagles did great last year for the most part. They were reasonably healthy. They've got the defending champs are going to have a big target on their back, but that schedule is brutal, absolutely brutal. So that, to me, is going to be really interesting. I'm still not convinced what the Cowboys are going to be. Obviously, Washington is going to be good. The Giants stink, and I'm not worried about them at all. But the Eagles, with that schedule, is brutal.
Well, what do you think of the Bears, Pete?
No, I think they're going to be. I think Eberflus was 90% of the problem. They should be better, right? They should.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Better.
Okay, so I have to do a wellness check on our esteemed leader and producer, Mr. Angel, with the breaking news yesterday about his hero, his close personal friend. Oh, my God, look at him. He's already shaking his head. He's mad. Do we even know what he got? Because I told you he'd get $13 million per. What did he get money-wise? Do we know?
The report is that he got he's 43 years old. He's 48-20 with the Eagles. 706 winning percentage, third highest in the Super Bowl era. He's 6-3 in the postseason. Guided the team to 2 Super Bowls. He's 1-1. And I'm you know what? I don't know the details of the contract.
We'll know, but I can guarantee you he got over $10 million. I think he got 13.
Oh, I think so too. I think he's probably going to be the highest paid coach. Because again,
an Angel would give $13 million to punch him in the face.
No, I think he's come around. Let me see.
No, he hasn't. No. See, he's shaking his head. No, because when Kathy came on my show with Angel, we talked about this and it was great. I mean, it was fun. And by the way, the best part of it was Angel explained everything, where he after his the bad year they had 2 years ago, where he fired everybody.
Went 1-6 down the stretch.
Yeah. And it was. He went up, and obviously people will never forget this when Sirianni got hired. The flower thing he did. Oh my God. Yeah. And it was Pete. A lot like Pete Carroll at the Patriots. He's a bad cultural fit as far as the fan base. And the puppy. People will call Pete the puppy, and all this other stuff. So Pete Carroll made me nuts too. I'll give you another team. I'll give you another team. Obviously, I really like the Bengals.
By the way, Adam Schefter is reporting that this stupid Olympic thing is going to pass. It's expected to pass.
Well, 4 teams. I'll tell you this. I don't think the tush push thing is going to be taken down. I don't
either. I don't think that's passing at all.
Because I know Dan Campbell isn't going to vote for it. There are Mike Vrabel won't vote for it either.
Why would anybody vote for when the rest of the league has done it 70?
Yeah, because they could do it. They could do it. They're going to have sooner or later. They're going to have somebody who can do it.
Of course.
Imagine if they tried to ban the West Coast offense and the 46 defense and all these other things that people used to do. I mean, hey, you can't run Bo Jackson. Oh no, let's ban Derrick Henry. He's turned 50 pounds and he runs a 4.5 40.
Yeah, you can't play running back if you're more than 230. You're not allowed.
There you go. That's what they did in Little League and Pop Warner. Yes, and again, you made up a great point, Pete, about the Bills trying to do it and the Chiefs stopping it. Now, obviously, the Bills were stupid in how they did it. They did a more traditional quarterback power instead of the Jalen Hurts surging ahead. The Eagles clearly have perfected this because they practice it, they work at it. It also helps that the quarterback squats 700 pounds.
Yeah.
I'm gonna someday hope to squat 700 pounds, but it's just not gonna.
I can't get the fucking twisting off on my Gatorade bottle. The last few times I drink Gatorade Zero.
Because your hand gets slippery.
No, but I mean, it was like, I don't know, from Publix, I don't know what they put on this one 8-pack that I got.
Yeah.
It was like super glue or Gorilla Glue sealed. I'm like, twist off.
You got it now? You got it now?
Oh, yeah, I got it. I mean, but not before I spilled a bunch of it on me. It pops off. But I mean, it was really like I had to get a knife. It wasn't sealed properly. It was aggravating. I had to get a paring knife and just cut the little this part right here. This part, the lower thing, was like sealed. And I'm like, I just picked up the wrong 6-pack or 8-pack, whatever it was.
There you go. So I got to do. You love it when I do shout-outs. I got to do two.
Yeah.
Amelia, my financial gal, she's in Chicago.
Amelia, hello.
Amelia, and I mentioned Kate. Kate in the UK, she's my friend, and we talk. She talks American football, and we talk soccer.
Hello.
Yes, there you go. It's all good in the world.
Awesome.
So there you go. And I love the UK angle.
Let's reconnect later on in the week, and because we got a lot to talk about. Because we'll reconnect maybe on Thursday.
Well, you can call. I'll come on Friday because Michigan will have played two. They're in the pool with UCLA and Illinois. They start today at 11. Then they play Thursday at 11. Clemson will play by Wednesday. So Friday would be good, Pete. Reach out.
Okay, I absolutely.
Got my man Mick coming on. He's going to come on and tell you why the Florida Panthers are going to repeat and win the Stanley Cup. He might say some bad things about the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Well, I have.
So,
I know. I Jedi might.
We all will. Have a good one, buddy. Good to talk to you.
He's going to have to. Okay. That is Jay Flanley from Beavs World up in Ann Arbor. And coming on right now, my NHL insider, Nick Pelagio. There's a little montage. What happened to Mick? What happened to Mick? He was just there. All right. Well, hopefully come back on. Whoop. Hang on.
Yeah, when he came on originally, his picture was frozen.
Oh, okay. We'll have to reconnect. All right, I'm waiting for him. Phil Castanetti, Sports World in Saugus, Massachusetts, is New England's place to buy or sell the finest in sports memorabilia. For over 35 years, Sports World has offered the finest in sports collectibles. So head on down there to Phil Castanetti, Sports World in Saugus, Mass. at 184 Broadway. Call 781-233-7222 for more information. 781-233-7222 for more information. Sports World in Saugus. Be there. Yes, sir. Be there. Also, I'm waiting for Mick to come on, tell you about my filing system here. It's a great filing system that I have. For the best articles and audio, there's only one source that provides everything you need 365 days a year to satisfy your sports crave. It's Total Sports Prep. Staff combing through the best articles and audio so you don't have to. Sports and non-sports kicker stories will leave you laughing all day long. To get your free trial of Total Sports Prep, contact them at info@sportsbroadcastingcoach.com. info@sportsbroadcastingcoach.com. Total Sports Prep, the name says it all. Boy, Mick usually comes back on right away. I wonder what happened. We have a bad habit on the show. People get power surges all the time. And then they get knocked off, and then their Wi-Fi has to reset, and this, that, and the other thing. Again, Adam Schefter saying, reporting on ESPN. Actually, I want to play this afterwards while we're waiting for Mick. But a vote on whether to allow NFL players to participate in flag football at the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics expected to pass today during league meetings in Minneapolis, according to Adam Schefter. So I'm waiting for this spot to finish. Okay, here's on First Take yesterday, or it might have been this morning. I'm not sure when this was. When was this? Yeah, it might have been this morning. Here is Graney, Graziano and company talking about the possibility of NFL players.
Players in the 2028 Olympics is something that they're going to vote on this week. What is this about?
Allowing NFL players to participate in flag football in the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles. It would be one player maximum per team, and there's all kinds of stuff in the proposal about protection, salary cap credit if somebody gets hurt, and minimum standards for playing surfaces and all that. But it is possible that you would see NFL players playing flag football in the Los Angeles Olympics in 2028 if this passes.
I can tell you, having worked for the league for the last 9 years, flag football might be their biggest priority and their widest range of what they want to do with this. That said, it's right before the season starts, the Summer Olympics. I've seen Edwin Diaz in baseball shred his knee in the World Baseball Classic. I don't want to see Tyreek Hill get injured because he beat Latvia in a flag football game.
See?
I don't need to see Zay Flowers get hurt because they finally got the best of Turks and Caicos. I'm good. There's a lot of adult men leagues and women's leagues. Let them play in the Olympics. The NFL, stick to training camp.
Yeah, exactly.
Your shipping manager left to find themselves, leaving you lost. You need to hire.
Hang on.
Indeed, you.
Okay. So that's what. So they're saying exactly what I said. Who they play? Latvia? I mean, it's crazy. All right, there he is, just like that. The one and only Mick Colagio, who's beamed back in. They fixed the transporter room. You beam back in, and now all is good. Good morning, Mick. How are you? Mick, can you hear me?
Hey, Pete. How are you?
Good. You can hear. I can see you. Can you hear me? And
I
see
hear
me
you
okay?
fine. But
Yeah.
I hear you, but you can't hear me. Okay.
No, I hear
We got
you
a
fine.
problem today.
I
It's
can hear.
probably-
I can hear and see you.
You fine.
You're cutting in and out. You're cutting in and out.
My visual is just coming through very choppy.
Okay, I
But
can
I don't
hear
need
you
the
and I can
visual.
see you.
Okay,
I
if you can hear me and see me, and I can hear you well enough to carry on. So let's do it, and I'll ignore the glitchy look on my end.
Unless maybe you want to call in, we could just put a mugshot up there. If you want to call in, it might be easier at 727-858-6650. You might just do that. If your video is a little
Of course,
choppy.
you
Yeah, you're cutting it out.
text it to me, Pete, because it. Okay, I see it on the.
Yeah, you see it right there on the bottom of the screen?
Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna dial it. I'm gonna dial it up before I.
Okay.
Before you disappear from my screen. This is technology, folks, at its finest.
Unlike the Maple Leafs, we adjust, we overcome, we adapt.
Oh my God. Where do we begin? All right.
Okay.
So that's the text line. Oh,
yeah, but that's the same line. Just call that number. The text line and the call line. 727-858-6650. And then just exit out of your video there.
Okay, I'm going to X out.
Okay. And then we'll just punch up a mugshot.
Yep, just like that. He's on.
All right. Got you, Mick. You there?
Yeah, that was me about 100 years ago.
No, not the mug. Well, we just saw you, but yeah. By the way, people were asking when I posted a picture 2 days ago of that goofy-looking little kid, that 3-year-old. That was me back in 1970 with the incredible bull haircut.
Awesome.
All right. When last we spoke, we envisioned scenarios. None of them you finally came and agreed with me that Toronto was not going to win, although they did come up with a 2-0 nice win at Sunrise. But here's the thing of it, Mick. And this is why I think Craig Berube, I still believe, is going to have a hard time surviving. We talked about with you for the last few weeks, and I said they will find new and innovative ways to lose games. Now, when I say that, I usually think of 3-2. It's off somebody's skate, a crazy bounce, deflection, double overtime, single overtime, triple overtime. What I did not expect, and this is a new one, even for the Maple Leafs, is to get fucking humiliated in the two biggest games they've had in the last 20 years, humiliated both at home, both by 6-1 scores. Last time I did my math, that's being outscored 12-2 in the two biggest games your franchise basically has had in the last 20 years, and that coach is going to survive? I say no. What say you? And what are your overall thoughts on the monumental and new way to collapse Toronto Maple Leafs, as I've said, inevitable?
I think that management realizes that it's no longer going to continue to work to try to get a new voice in the same room full of players. I think the attention is going to turn to the players. And I think the natural occurrence of the expiration of Mitch Marner's contract, the amount of money that he would command and tie up on the cap going forward, the fact that they have a young stud, Matthew Nyes, whose contract is up and he's a restricted free agent. They certainly don't want that to go to July 1 because then he'd become vulnerable to the offer sheet. And then you have to sign him on some other team's terms nobody will be able to leverage the Maple Leafs into letting Nyes go the way the Edmonton Oilers were leveraged by the St. Louis Blues into letting Dylan Holloway and I think Phil Broberg to go to their team via the Group 2 offer sheet process. I don't see that happening with Nyes. I think Nyes will become the priority. I think they're going to do a big extension for him, and he will become part of that core going forward, whereas Marner and John Tavares are both up, and it's probably going to be a $20 million coming off their cap to let those two players go in free agency and then reculture their team. And it's not necessarily an indictment on those players as much as it is a need for change and a very convenient, spectacular vehicle through which to do it. So I fully expect that Marner and Tavares are going to be playing next season in other uniforms, and that there will be at least one significant free agent signing by the Maple Leafs in the summer to get half of that money spent, and maybe the rest will be somewhat flexible. They certainly have made efforts to try to inject a little more grit and grind into their team. But at the end of the day, if the leadership core doesn't show the same level of fight, then it doesn't matter how tough certain guys are on your team. You're not a tougher team until your best players are tougher. Matthews had a horrible series. Yeah, I guess he was quoted afterwards to say there were too many passengers.
Yeah.
And yet he was one of them. I
Yeah.
mean, I just think that the Panthers stymied him and other guys. It just kind of, they get you to back off the way they play and make you think, how do we do this? How do we do this? And next thing you know, you're out of time. And, that game 7, the performance was horrible, was embarrassing.
But
And
Mick,
I just didn't think the Leafs had another spectacular collapse like that in them. I was not surprised at all that they came back and won game 6. I really didn't know what to expect in game 7 beyond the fact that I don't think it's realistic to expect Florida to make another Stanley Cup final. So I figured, okay, this is it. I was wrong.
Yeah,
I was
but
wrong.
that's okay. You and 100,000 other people, but that's okay. You're allowed to be wrong once, and it's not. But it's just look, and the first 9 minutes of that game, I couldn't believe Florida wasn't up 3-0. I mean, that game was way worse than the 6-1 score final. Toronto couldn't get anything going. They played better the second half of the first period, and then that was it. That was it. They finally got a shot on net. But you saw the first period, how the Panthers came out. They came out like gangbusters.
I also wondered if that horrific injury in the first minute of the second period, which was the period that the Panthers did their damage, they did their decisive damage in that game, was in the second. And in the first minute of the second, first, I think 23 or so seconds into it, that Chris Rooney, the official from Salty, wound up taking Nico Mikkola's stick
right in the face,
in the right eyebrow, just freaking came up and gouged him pretty good. And I don't know what the damage was in the end, but I bet we're talking a lot of stitches.
Yeah, I almost thought he'd come back out for the third period, knowing a hockey ref and hockey players are. But let me ask you this:
probably a league decision.
But Mick, this is what I'm talking about, Craig Berube. How many coaches who are playing in two of the greatest, the most important games in the last 20 years, and you get humiliated in both of them by outscored 12-2. How many coaches survived that?
Well, you did win a survival game on the road.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You came out game
champion in between those two. So I don't think you can just take those without looking at the whole thing. And I'm not saying that trying to turn, black paint into gray. What I'm saying is that the entire, the problem is that big. The problem is, what's the problem? What do we got here? And how many different coaches are going to go walk the plank here before they fix what ails this team? Maybe at a certain point, they're going to have to ask themselves whether Matthews is the right guy to be at the front of their franchise. That's clearly the decision they're about to make, because they're about to jettison Marner and Tavares and the core, the young core, the emerging core with William Nylander is now part of that, and Max Domi's profile was rising with that club, but now Matthews is going to have a position on their so-called big investment Mount Rushmore of Maple Leafs. So I think that the focus is going to the players, and I think that if there's any spilt milk over there, it's going to be about the Stolarz injury and how the goaltending was probably the difference, and yada yada. And if Stolarz doesn't get hurt, maybe this conversation is completely different, which is really an unfair referendum on Wall, who comes out of nowhere after not playing forever and gets completely victimized by a team hanging him out to dry. If this becomes about him, it's very unfair, but that's the life of goalies. Just like you're talking about coaches. The goalies are the coaches. That's the volatility of it. You got a bunch of great coaches, a bunch of great goalies, and the situations that they get themselves in can really either elevate or ruin their careers. And Wall's about to get his career ruined. And Berube, I don't think so. I think I'm not with you on this. I think that he's going to be here for the next for the revision of the Leafs. I think Berube is going to get an opportunity to coach a significantly revised Maple Leaf team.
I don't know. It's almost Grady Little S to me. When you see a team that comes out so flat in Game 7, you have players talking about how they weren't ready. It didn't appear to be, especially in the first 10 minutes of the first period. I'm sorry. Two games at home, a Game 5 and Game 7. There aren't any more important games in any series in professional sports than Game 5 and Game 7. And you blew it badly. So I don't know, lack of adjustments, whatever it is. I think, look, it's the uniform, man. It doesn't freaking matter. How many times I have to say it? It doesn't matter. Maple Leafs 0-6 in Game 7 since 2018. Matthews, 3 assists and -4, 19 shots on goal. This is since 2018. Marner, two assists, -7, 13 shots on goal. Nylander, with a -4, 13 shots on goal, 2 goals and 2 assists. And Tavares, with 4 games played, 1 goal, 1 assist, -6, 13 shots on goal. And then you got people starting to complain about the pressures. Oh, Maple Leaf Park and blah, 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 blah. And then I thought Ken Campbell, who I think you know, said, I've been covering this team a long time. I never once heard Matt Sundin, Gary Roberts, Joe Nieuwendyk, Darcy Tucker, Steve Thomas, or Curtis Joseph, complain about the pressure of playing in Toronto. They embraced it. They welcomed it. At least those guys, like you said, were moderately successful in the early 2000s. They got to a couple of conference finals as well. But what is this nonsense about the pressure of playing in Toronto? Stop it. I don't want to hear that stuff. You got humiliated at home in Games 5 and Game 6 and outscored 12-2. I don't care if there's 100,000 people outside or 2. They were not ready to play in either of those 2 games. They got their butts whipped.
That's going to be the toughest question that Berube's going to have to answer for. But I do think that at the end of the day, I think that they both understand. I don't think he needs to make a pitch to them that it's our leadership sucks. We don't have the extension in the room. We don't have, they let their teammates down. It wasn't me, it was them. He doesn't have to say that. They know. His mind is blown by, I'm sure that he's thinking like, man, do I even want to coach this team? Are they going to ruin my career?
Yes.
You know, I mean, so I think that that's why, is there a chance they move on from Berube over this? I guess it's possible, but I can't imagine that they run it back with extensions for Marner and or Tavares. I feel like this is done, and those guys are going to be gone. Nyes is going to be elevated in terms of the pay scale goes, but they will have plenty of money left over, probably 15 of the 20 million, or at least 12 of the 20 million to make other investments in the off season. Or maybe they'll work out some kind of blockbuster trade. Maybe there'll be something that'll happen. There's other franchises in the league that, like the Pittsburgh Penguins, that are at crossroads here, where their core is kind of gone through 2 championship cycles, and it's time for that to end. And you got to wonder if there's going to be. And then you say, okay, look at where the Florida Panthers were in 2022 when they won the President's Trophy, but they went out in the second round of first or second round of the playoffs, and Bill Zito decided there's something wrong with our team. We don't have something we need. We need to and messing with a team of that kind of accomplishment is really courageous, and would be considered stupid if it didn't work out so famously as it has. But they changed the culture of their team, and they just completely put themselves on a different kind of trajectory, even though they didn't have a great regular season in 22-23. They stayed with it, and they were committed to what they were doing. I think the Maple Leafs have to look at something like that and say, look, what we've been doing doesn't work. We need to reconstitute our club. They've
been saying that for 50 years, Rick. They've been saying the same thing for 50 years. It's not working. I'm telling you, you talk about, I don't believe in curses or anything like that, and I somewhat feel for their fans, although not that much. You know why I don't feel for them like I do for Red Sox fans? because they can't get out of the first or second round. This is not like them going to the finals all the time and losing the conference finals. This is not about even getting to forget the Stanley Cup finals. They can't get to the conference finals. So why am I supposed to feel bad for a team that continually gets into its own way, no matter who the GM is, no matter who the coach is, no matter who the players are, for 50 years, can't get past the fucking first round, barely into the second round, and they get humiliated the way they do. I've never seen a team get squashed like that at home in the two most important games in 20 years like they did. It was saying it's the same old shit year after year.
The team that they did beat, the Ottawa Senators, were a team that might not have made the playoffs if the Bruins or the Rangers didn't completely fall apart. So, that's the fact that their win was over a team that's really kind of marginal for their progress point right now. Maybe, you could say that the Senators are up and coming and fill out that roster a little more and they'll be scary, all of which may be true. But at this point right now, the Leafs didn't beat a team that fully belonged in there. That they may prove that they belong next year, but they were a team that easily could have missed this year as well. And so for the Leafs to get that one done, and did they go 7 with Florida? Yes, they did. But the manner in which they lost has to resonate with ownership and management and make them say something's got to give here. But I do think the fact that that the Marner and Tavares contracts are up, that your 1A winger, your line driver, your line driving winger, and you have in your second line center. I mean, it's hard to get bigger than the only way you get bigger than that is if you're talking about Matthews and Nylander and Nyes and sure, the vultures are circling and saying, let's get Nyes an offer sheet. And that's not realistic. The Leafs will go to the mattresses to keep that kid.
All right, what about the idea of Mitch Marner and Tavares, one, both, or either, coming to the Bruins? Is that a possibility? Should Don Sweeney, if he's still there, make
I don't think so, because I think that either one's going to come in. Tavares is at a point in his career where he's getting into his mid-30s and he's not going to make the money he made on his last contract. The production doesn't justify it. And as much as the guy doesn't play a sexy game, he's not a great defensive player. And I think that everybody expected that he was going to be a great defensive player because he's not that flashy a player. He's just extremely productive offensively. So I'm not really sure where Tavares winds up. But I'm pretty sure that there's going to be a lot of suitors for Marner, teams that think they need something different. And it's probably going to be a team that does not have a player like David Pastrnak or Artemi Panarin or Jonathan Marchessault or any of these guys who are great line driving, Patrick Kane, great line driving wingers, playmakers off the wall. Those guys, Marner is that kind of player. He's in the meat of his career now. This will be the biggest contract of his career, if not second. And so if I'm the Bruins, I don't want to put down my biggest chunk of 2025 investment in a player that is he and Pastrnak are too similar in hockey function in the widgetry of it in order for that to be the Bruins' pursuit. Is Tavares somebody that they would consider? I don't think so. I think that Lindholm finished the season is great, garbage time notwithstanding. He had great chemistry with Pastrnak and Geekie in the final several games of the year, and he's playing well in the Worlds right now. I think that they feel like Lindholm's going to work out for them and be a good player, and that is there going to be another centerman? Probably, but I don't think it's going to be a guy as old as Tavares. I think that they're probably the Bruins are going to try to stay on a younger path here. I think that's the way their team is going to go.
All right, my favorite NHL insider, Mick Colaggio. A couple more things here. Rick Tocchet reportedly said he wasn't entertaining any offers from the Bruins because he wasn't sure of Don Sweeney's status, which you have brought up many times about him possibly leaving to go with the Team Canada over there. Is this until he figures it out or comes out officially and says, I'm staying, are they going to have a hard time before we even talk about guys like Garner and Tavares and others? They got to get a coach first, I believe. Are they going to have is Rick talking out of something here? And the Bruins going to have a hard time finding a coach anytime soon because they're not sure if Don Sweeney's going to stick around?
Well, if they wanted a big name coach like Rick Tocchet, then yeah. If that was on there, if Tocchet was on the Bruins short list, then yeah. I don't think that's true of many coaches, though. That would have been the case with Sullivan. It is the case with Tocchet. I don't think any other guy out there, whether it's a really accomplished coach like Peter Laviolette or John Tortorella or any of these other guys that have been noted, like Jay Woodcroft, the former Oilers coach, who's been discussed. Marco Sturm has been discussed. Greg Cronin is the one that my brain keeps telling me he's going to be the guy. David Quinn's name has come up, because he has a lot of Boston connection. BU, coached the Sharks, has a great NHL experience, minor league experience. Same is true for Cronin, but what Cronin did with the Ducks over the last 2 seasons and getting them from being a joke of a team into a better team, and now a team that's mixed in with veterans and young players who are reaching the next. I mean, when Trevor Zegras starts saying that you were really helped him in his career and he's becoming a better two-way player, that like screams Fabian Lysell, So I'm thinking that at the end of the day, Cronin, even though he's like 61 years old, he's from Arlington, Mass, right outside Boston, and he's got all the experience, and he's got a recent NHL success track. Something that I think that even though the careers of Tortorella and Laviolette especially are so impressive and Hall of Fame worthy kind of stuff, they haven't had notable successes recently. And so the question then becomes, is Cronin's success with the Ducks recently, and I feel like that team really looks like the Bruins right now. They have young players. They have a few key veterans on their team that are meant to augment that, and they're a team that's trying to take a new formation of itself into the playoffs next year. I think that's so similar to where the Bruins are that they had, and the way the Dutch played against Boston was impressive. They were hard on pucks. They were competitive. It makes me kind of surprised that Pat Verbeek decided that now is the time to try to get another level out of the Ducks and have Joel Quenneville be the guy to do it, to lead them. And because Cronin, to me, had them on track. And so it's a risky move, but it's an extremely proactive move, and maybe it'll prove to be the right move. We'll never know if keeping Cronin would have been the right move. But right now, if I'm the Bruins, I just don't know what would hold me back from getting this guy. So that's kind of the way I think it's going. Until I see something different, that's how I'm going to keep believing this is going to end up.
You mentioned Marco Sturm a minute ago. Is that the same guy that was involved in us sending Joe Thornton, who ended up being the MVP to San Jose? Wasn't he part of that deal?
Yes, he was.
Now
Marco Sturm was a key player for the Bruins in their ascent from being a joke of a team to being on the cusp of the Stanley Cup. Marco Sturm unfortunately wrecked his knee, ACL and MCL, in a really innocuous little collision in the corner in the very beginning of their 2010, I want to say it was the 2010 second round series against Philadelphia. And they lost Sturm, and he never played another game for the Bruins. And they wound up trading his rights in order to solve the cap problem. And so Sturm wound up coaching out west and has developed a strong reputation. He is not related to Nico Sturm, who the Panthers acquired at the trade deadline. The Sturm also was the overtime goals. He was the goal scorer in the great Game 6 the Bruins played against the Canadians in 2008 that sent that to 7. That's a very important game in Bruins history, recent Bruins history, because that series changed the whole trajectory for the Bruins with their fans, because even though they lost Game 7 up in Montreal 5-0 and was scored on, I think, in the first minute, the next morning, the Bruins set their all-time franchise record for single-day full season ticket sales. So they came back because that team was compelling and Sturm was really in the thick of it. He also scored the overtime winner at Fenway Park in the 2010 Winter Classic against the Flyers.
Yeah, I was there for that.
So Marco Sturm has a real great legacy with the Bruins, and it's kind of tragic. The tragedy of Marco Sturm's injury gets easily forgotten amidst the tragedy of Mark Savard's head injury that ruined his opportunity to win the Stanley Cup with the Bruins. And thankfully, the NHL made an exception and allowed Mark Savard's name to be pounded into the side of the cup with the 2010-11 Bruins, even though his season with them was pretty brief. He did not get to participate to the end. Sturm wasn't part of that season. He was gone the year before. So all remnants of Marco Sturm are lost except for the memories that he provided as the Bruins made their climb.
All right, finally, let's get into the Eastern Conference Finals and the Western Conference Finals. And just quickly here in a couple of minutes. And then I have a sad story to tell you about afterwards before we go. It has nothing to do with sports, but I know you appreciate it, unfortunately. Florida at Carolina, just coming off of Game 7. Sometimes I think it's good to get right back into the thick of things. I expect this to be an unbelievable series. A couple of years ago, Florida swept them. I played the cut earlier of Rod Brindamore talking about after they lost in 4. And he said it wasn't losing in 4, even though it says 4-0, and they got outscored pretty good. But anyway, this should be a rock'em sock'em. I'm expecting not a lot of goals to be scored in this series. I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to go 7. I'm not ready to pick a winner. I think it's going 7, and I feel the same way about Dallas-Edmonton, where I do think there'll be a lot of goals scored in that series. But how are you assessing these two champions, the ECF and the WCF here?
Yeah, I'm not so sure we won't see goals out west.
Goals out west.
I'm not so sure we won't see defense out west. I feel like the Oilers have proven that they can defend, and defense is the foundation of the Dallas Stars Cup contention. And Miro Heiskanen is now back in their lineup. He's not, they've been very careful in terms of how they've implemented him and bringing him back in more minutes as he goes. So really, to me, the question for Dallas is, will they be at full strength? Because as a big 3 in front of Jake Ottinger, Heiskanen, Asa Lindell, and Thomas Harley are as formidable as any defense core in the NHL. And therefore, how well they check with their forward lines and hold back the Oilers from getting that decisive Draisaitl stick or McDavid maneuver or whoever else springs forward for them. To me, that's really going to be what decides that series, and also, Dallas is not a spectacular offensive team except for when Rantanen goes crazy. So, but they can come at you a bunch of different ways. Wyatt Johnson's a very young player, but he's one of those kids who's really a rarity in that he's become impactful at a young age. And Robertson is kind of like a Luc Robitaille. He doesn't move around in a flashy way, but he's always in the right place at the right time. The Tyler Seguin, Jamie Benn nucleus that was established over 10 years ago. Those guys are broken down versions of themselves, but they have really become great team players. And as far as leadership and as far as being able to be complementary, whereas they used to be the story, they're not anymore. And Pavelski may wind up being their Ed Westfall. He may be their Moses, the one who doesn't get to go to the promised land with them, but was there so much of far of the way. I think the Dallas Stars are really They look to me like that should win this whole thing. And Oilers, I think that that's been a hard season for them. They found their traction later in the season, which is actually probably good for them. That they won't be maybe some of the players will feel fresher because of that, because they need that after going to the final minute of Game 7 last year and losing in Florida. So I do think that that's a potential championship team, and so nothing would surprise me on that side. But I think Dallas, this looks like their year to me. Now, as far as the East goes, history tells me that it's too difficult for the Florida Panthers to beat the Carolina Hurricanes. I expected the Leafs would pull out in Game 7 because I didn't think they had another crazy collapse in them like what we saw. And I thought that, but I do think that that history is asking too much of the Florida Panthers to be the only team since the '85 Oilers to play 3 straight full-length schedules and make the final after each of them. That just hasn't happened in 40 years. And the way they play hockey and then what it takes out of them to do it, and Matthew Tkachuk is playing injured. He's playing through an injury, obviously. It's limiting his impact right now. To me, and Carolina's got so much cohesion in how they play the game with their man-to-man D, and I just think that this is probably their time to break through and make the final. They're definitely a less is more kind of a team. They've managed to improve themselves despite what went wrong in the Rantanen process. I like them to win that series. I'm not sure how many games, and I like Dallas to win the cup.
And Carolina more impressive. I mean, beating the Devils and Caps in 5 games each. They're the first team to win back-to-back 7-game series in 5 games or fewer since the Lightning beat Columbus and the Bees, the Bruins, back in 2020. So, no question. But
2020 in my end of the world.
Yeah, as far as coaches
go, that was a bubble exhibition put on by the league and the Players Association for money to get back some of the gross that was lost by the cancellation of the season in March. And it was a full-length off-season after the cancellation of the 1920 season and had, in reality, had absolutely nothing to do with that season.
But Mick, LeBron
anything to do with that 2020 tournament just, to me, is meaningless.
Okay, Mick, LeBron James is on line too. He's mad. Lakers won 2 in 2020, and I agree with you. The Lakers had that championship as well.
I will not pass up any opportunity to say that.
I don't blame you. All right, before I let you go, and I'm sure you've been to this place, and I have in Rhode Island, Matunic Oyster Bar, one of my favorite all-time places, and I was there about 10 years ago. A severe fire last night, and it burned down. And you know where Matunic.
I didn't know this. You're telling me news here. I didn't realize.
I'm telling you right now, our buddy Kevin McNamara just tweeted it out. An overnight fire caused extensive damage, and that place, I cannot tell you how many great people that work there that I know. What great food, right on the beach, great atmosphere, unbelievable.
Is this the ocean? Was this also known as the Ocean Mist?
I believe so. Yeah. Yep, where you used to have.
I saw Leon Russell play there.
Dollar Absolute nights on Wednesdays.
The late great Leon Russell played at the Ocean Mist about, I don't know, probably 20 years ago.
Yep. But what a shame. What an absolute shame. Anyway.
Wow. I had no idea. Terrible. I've been down there on multiple occasions with coworkers back in the 1990s when I was sports editor of the Narragansett Times and the surrounding weeklies.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Wow.
Friend. Yeah. And I hope.
Yikes. I hope nobody got hurt.
I hope they can rebuild it. That's because that's an iconic place in southern Rhode Island. Is a beautiful.
I mean, when you say nightclub and you say fire in Rhode Island, you think of the place that was more close to Providence where there were 100 deaths.
Yeah, one in West Warwick too.
At the rock show. I mean, that was brutal. This obviously was down by the beach. It's right at the beach, and hopefully nobody get hurt.
All right, I hate to end on that note, but whatever. It is. I wanted to let you know. As far as I know, nobody got hurt because it happened after hours. So whatever. We'll see what happens. All right, my friend. Enjoy. So I look forward to tonight, and Now that you said you like Carolina, I'm sticking with the Panthers in 7. I'm sticking with
You'll probably be right because records were made to be broken, and if there is a grinding, bruising team meant for this kind of accomplishment, it would probably be the Brad Marchand Panthers. But history says no.
All right, but I didn't get my Montgomery Cassidy final, but I may get my Marchand Sagan final. I may have.
Wouldn't that be funny? I think they're going to get your Sagan final.
Yeah, it's going to be really
survive the series.
Yep, unbelievable. And this time, and then when he comes back to Boston, they won't have to put a sentry post outside of his hotel room because he's old enough to go out now and behave like a gentleman.
Well, I don't even know if he will now that he's, got a family life.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
These guys actually grow up.
Yes, he does. Yes, he did. All right, Mick, thanks so much. Anything you want to plug away? RinkWrapMC.com. What else you got going on?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Rink Wrap, I linked to it on X. I wrote before Game 6, or before Game 7, I had filed my epic on the Stanley Cup playoffs, talking about how teams are built historically to win, the two basic blueprints, and in it, I said that I suspected that Florida's time was up, and clearly the Leafs trumped me on that one. And I don't know if you got my text, but last year was a Maple Leaf carrying a golf bag full of clubs around the ice.
It's on my Facebook post.
This year, it's the keeper of the cup, Phil Pritchard, and his cohort carrying with the white gloves, carrying a golf bag with a Maple Leaf on it.
It's on my Facebook page. It's on my Facebook page, Mitch. I put people's pictures.
It's so funny. This stuff kills me.
I put that on there. It's on my Facebook page for all to see.
Well, you know what? I think now that you mentioned Grady Little, I'll have to end by just saying that I think that Mitch Marner is their no-mar.
Okay. All take that, though. I'll take that on the Bruins. I'll take anything I can get. But let's start with a coach. We'll see. All right, my friend. Take care, and I will talk to you. We'll talk next week, and it should be 2 great series, I think. So we'll see. Thanks.
Yeah,
man.
it should be. It should be. I know Carolina's the least sexy of all the teams, but they also quietly fly under the radar where they love it, and they're able to. The least distracted team. They just go out and they do what they do, and they're greater than the sum of their parts. So they're scary.
All right, bud. We'll talk soon. All the best.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bellagio, RinkWrapMC.com. Make sure you check it out. I retweet a lot of his stuff as it is. All right, Angel. That was a hell of a 40 minutes talking hockey. It's great since nobody else will do it. I mean, we got to do it. Plus, the Florida Panthers are in it. I'm picking the Panthers in 7, by the way. Picking the Panthers in 7, and I'll pick Dallas in 7 as well. And I do think there'll be a lot more goals scored in the Dallas-Edmonton series. Not a lot, but there's going to be more scoring chances, I think, in that series than there will be in the Carolina-Florida game. But we shall see. What else you got coming up today?
You have Duncan Dad coming up at 1 o'clock. Ain't That Right? With Duncan Dad at 1 p.m. today. So you guys can check that out. And then, of course, can always go back and listen to and watch the audio video replay of the Pete Sheppard Show right on SR1029thegame.com.
All right, my friend. Tomorrow, great show. Thanks to Jay Flanley. Thanks to Mick Elijah. Again, we're going to have a short week this week because we're going to do a long Memorial Day weekend because Angel deserves it. So shows tomorrow and Thursday, and then we're off Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday for the holiday. Tomorrow, Bill Sparrows, amongst others, will join me and be a bunch of good guests coming up. David Wedge is going to join me as well at some point, maybe this week. He's got a great book coming out about Marvin Hagler, which is fantastic. One of the great boxers at any level of all time, not just because he's from Massachusetts to Brockton, but so that'll be up at some point in the next couple of days, I believe, or next week. And always great guests. And thanks all of you for checking us out here at the Pete Sheppard Show here on the Coastal Sports Network. Have a great and safe rest of your Tuesday, everybody. Let's go Panthers. Talk tomorrow at 7 a.m.